Hey there, welcome to everybody all the way around the world. And bless your hearts for coming here, and bless my heart for coming here too. And it's really lovely that we're all together all the way around the planet right now. And this is the start of a really exciting new super sequence of the Magic Satsang series. Honestly, I'm going to come up with so many names and things for this thing. It's going to take about 5 minutes to say it all after a while. But this one is focusing on the ancient Taoist golden flower method, which is like a whole thing is with Taoism. See, there are all these different lineages and schools that kind of really there's just various masters that focused on various aspects. So, for example, there was one guy, and it was a guy who was the one that really promoted the backward flowing motion, which is, like, for me, the most important part of it all. Although to say it's the most important part is a bit daft, really, because the whole thing is an interlocking circle. You can't just take one bit without the other. But, like, assuming that you have all the bits and pieces in place, the backward flowing motion has got to be the most important thing I've ever discovered. And that's kind of what we use as the meditation template for this. The idea is, instinctively, we rush forwards and forwards and forwards into life, the reason being that we've got our sense organs facing forwards, and thinking that's the way to go. Come on, let's have it, like a bunch of young rave monkeys on there, sort of like a stag night or a hen night in Ibiza. Really, let's go, that kind of thing, which actually, that rushing, the Taoists say, is like rushing to your death. So what they came up with, or what this guy came up with, his name I don't know, but let's call him Roger for the sake of argument, Roger the Taoist, he posited that he kind of was the guy that was the one that held on to the tradition so it wouldn't disappear of flowing backwards inside. If you learn to flow backwards internally all the time instead of flowing forwards all the time, you go against the flow of rushing towards death and actually make yourself younger as you get older. And I was only talking to a really good friend of mine a couple of days ago, who was remarking to me, it's a holy man friend of mine, how his face has got free of wrinkles since he's been doing it. He looks younger, and he does. He looks like he's dropped 5 years at least, and I have noticed the more I've been doing it, the more I seem to be reference to that beautiful, pure, gleeful 4-year-old within me, and just rolling with it, because that's what Taoism also posits, that, like, this was Lao Tzu's thing. He's the famous one that put together the 81 verses that comprise the Tao Te Ching, which actually has even outsold the Bible. And just because there's more Chinese people around. In Tao Te Ching, what, I totally forgot what I was going to say, but it'll come back to me. Oh, yeah. The whole thing with that is be like a child. And Lao Tzu actually means the old child master, or the eternal child master. So the idea is not to be irresponsible and stupid, but to be powerful like a small child, filled with glee and curiosity, and expectant, joyful anticipation of what's around the next corner, in love with the mystery, resonating on the fairy tale level, the mythical fairy tale level, with life around. And that's the other thing. Then, of course, we have the movement of energy, the qi, which is also a very crucial part of the whole Taoist practice. And I'm really jumping past whole areas of knowledge here, but you will forgive me for doing so. One of the big ones as well is the golden flower. Carl Jung, the famous psychoanalyst, or the father of psychoanalysis, and after Freud, he wrote a foreword to The Secret of the Golden Flower, the kind of English translation. I guess it was German translation originally, from the Chinese. Now, the golden flower, The Secret of the Golden Flower, is another way of describing what they call the inner alchemical process, which is what the meditation that we're doing is actually all about. We transmute the base energy of the body into energy, like into a finer energy that they call qi. So you transmute jing, which is the sexual energy, into qi, which is a purer energy, and qi into spirit. And the doing of this generates an awareness of what they call the immortal spirit body. There are many names for this in different traditions, but for today, let's just call it that, the immortal spirit body. The idea of this is that by referencing yourself, firstly through the physical form, to the spirit body, because they are both spatial, albeit living, existing on different dimensions, in different dimensions. By referencing to the spirit body via the physical body, you're able to maintain what the TM people call a transcendental perspective at all times. In other words, as Jesus would have said, you're in the world but not of it. And therefore you are able to partake in the games of men, women and machines with full gusto and so on, without being caught up in the desperate need for status and acclaim, acknowledgement, and even material reward, would you believe? Not because you would eschew any of these jollies, because that's all they are, trinkets. Not that you would eschew them. You welcome good stuff, nice stuff when it comes, but you know that every manifest phenomenon has its yin and its yang. So, you know, like all that glitters is not gold, or every cloud has a silver lining, every lining has a silver cloud. So you could, by today's magic that we're about to do, for money, instigate, and I suspect you will, a surprising inbound flow, an unprecedented inbound flow as a result of what we're doing today. But you know that if you actually manage to draw into your coffers, shall we say, £3 million, or whatever that is, $5 million, that comes with a responsibility. And it's not all just nice. It's going to be, what do you do with it? How do you look after it properly? How do you get the right interest rates? How do you make sure you don't fritter it away? How do you say no to the lines of people that will be coming at you saying, can I have some money, please? Can I have some money, please? Because I promise you that's what happens. And how will you deal with the fact that there are people, many people starving and really going hungry around the world with absolutely nothing? And that there are people that actually have quite a lot but think they haven't got very much, so they're very miserable and unhappy. And how are you going to deal with having all your stuff when they haven't got theirs? How are you going to deal with people's envy and jealousy? Because all these things are real. They're all real. And so being a wise person centered in your spirit body, you know that whatever you manifest on the material plane is only something to occupy yourself with while you're hanging around waiting to die. It's not ultimately important. So even if you do manifest a huge fortune, and may you do so, why not? It's a laugh, isn't it? That's what the intention of today is. You must know that it's only the yin and the yang operating. It's still, believe it or not, even if you've got that masses of money, after the novelty wears off, which it will, you will still be left in exactly the same state as you are right now. The only way you can actually change your state is by changing the state, and the only way you can do that is, one way of putting it, reference yourself to the immortal aspect of you, that part that sits in your back and is not in any way swayed by the trinkets of the world of the 10,000 things. This isn't to say, as I say, that you're meant to eschew them. Far from it. The Taoist way, like Tantra, there are two main ways. One is to eschew everything, to renounce everything. If you've got the strength of mind to do so, good luck to you. But the main body of Taoism is what I call wayward Taoism, which is to go for it, whatever it is that's drawing you, whatever it is that's fascinating you, wherever your energy is carrying you, go with it and do it mindfully. Meaning that you do it aware of the Tao in the situation from moment to moment. You do it aware that whatever is manifest externally is merely a bit of passing show and not the ultimate reality itself. Knowing that whatever you manifest is not going to actually do anything for your soul at the deep level. And you also do it in the awareness that you maybe don't manifest anything anyway, that all that's a load of nonsense, that in fact what you're doing is responding to what's coming down the line anyway. And you think you're manifesting it, all you're doing is unconsciously rising up and go, oh yeah, that's kind of nice, thank you. So, I don't know the answers to those questions. No one who's ever lived does or ever will. And that's okay, we don't have to know, it's not important. What it does look like is that there are times when you seem like you're intervening making an intervention on a magical level, and it does seem to have an effect. So whenever I do a little bit of focusing on drawing in the flow of money my way, it does actually work. It does work, usually within days, and it always happens completely and utterly by surprise. It never happens, well, rarely happens from where I think it's going to happen from, or at least not at the time I think it will. And it does work, it does work, it does work. However, you mustn't be greedy, I think. I mean, you can be as greedy as you like, I suppose. That's completely up to you. I'm not to be greedy. I can only say that. The Taoist way seems to be to go light on the earth. You know, you don't tread heavy on it. You don't take more than you need. You trust that whatever you need, you will be given. So you don't have to hoard, and you don't have to be afraid of the future. The way is like a child. You just roll with it, and you trust it to bring you what you need when you need it. Now, don't get me wrong. Many of my close friends will tell you there are times when playing this game gets really, really hairy, especially when you have high overheads, which most of us do, relatively speaking, and they're getting higher all the time. I'm no different. And there are times when I haven't been focusing on money at all, because it isn't my main interest. My main interest is the mission, you know, like kind of creating ways artistically of transmitting the untransmittable to as many people as possible, to turn as many people on as possible who want it, that is, in the most elegant, original, genuine way. And I'm driven by the creative adventure. I'm driven by the urge to serve, and I'm driven by the adventure that takes me on geographically and people-wise. So that fairy tale of my life is what drives me. I assume that the money to support it will be there. And sometimes it looks like it's not going to be. And there are times when I get a little bit worried for a moment or two. But generally speaking, there's this sense of rolling with it, loving every minute of it, and dealing with the fear in a particular way that makes it into a positive drive. Hence why I'm doing the fear training, the psychology of fear training. This isn't the place to go into that now. This is what we're doing here, is doing the golden flower magic for money. I pick money because this is the one that is generally foremost on everybody's mind. It's the mechanism that we need to keep going. In itself, it has no intrinsic value. Even if you were to link money to the gold standard, which we don't, that doesn't have any intrinsic value. There is no intrinsic value in gold, as we know. I mean, some very clever advanced scientists might say, no, that's not true. We could use it for some you know, amazing thing that I've forgotten about or wasn't aware of. But as I see it, gold is merely something that looks nice, and we've all agreed that it's got value. Money itself doesn't actually have value. All it really is a measuring device. So if I spend a day picking potatoes and you have spent the day making a potato peeler, and I need a potato peeler for my potatoes, I will give you however many potatoes worth it is that you feel is fair and I feel is fair to get a potato peeler, and then we're both happy. However, if you multiply that out beyond a million people, it gets really, well, not even that many, it gets really, really unwieldy. Therefore, we develop organically a medium of exchange. The Incas used beads. In Club Med, they used to use beads. We use money. Originally, it was coins, and then it was notes, which came from IOUs. In other words, I'll pay you later. And it's backed up by the bank, and you know, so on. And then eventually, it became invisible altogether. Really, it's just things, digits stored on computers, and the money itself has no particular sacred intrinsic value, as I say. It is representative of the chi, as in the effect of the Tao setting itself in motion as a series of universes, not such as this one. As soon as the Tao, which is the still point, the shocking still, sets itself in motion, in other words, the moving root is born, everything that is set in motion is spinning, is subject to the law of yin and yang as it spins, going from negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive, and so on, all cyclically in various scales of cycles. And I keep forgetting what I was going to say. Doesn't matter anyway. I'll get back to it in a sec. The chi. So this motion that everything is in, the spinning, the planet spinning on its axis, orbiting the sun orbiting the Milky Way. The Milky Way, we don't know if it orbits or because it's too big, the whole thing, or if it's just moving against the background radiation wave of space. But we could assume it is probably orbiting, or in some kind of hard to regulate, hard to measure arc, because it's massive. And everything from the tiniest meme to the largest galactic cluster is spinning. Now, the effect of this, or the way you would describe this spin, this energy, this motion, is they called it chi. And chi is not just motion. Interestingly, it has innate consciousness as well. This is not peculiar to Taoist mysticism. This is also common to modern quantum physics, just in case you think I'm a complete fruitcake. That it has been kind of now posited that the entire universe is comprised of consciousness. The whole thing is mind. So the energy is not stupid energy, in other words. It's energy with intelligence. And we are able to tap into that energy and increase it within ourselves, direct it in the direction of what we're intending to happen, and it's that serves as the kind of glue for the magic that we do. Now, the golden flower is maybe more accurately would be described as the golden flowering, because what happens when you get the spirit body activated inside of you through stimulating the chi, it has the effect of lighting you up all golden inside and outside. So oftentimes you'll hear people say, well, you've got such charisma. I mean, I hear it a lot. And I know it's from doing this stuff. It's from the energy, the golden light that's produced from inside. People feel it. They may not see it as golden light. That's symbolic, obviously. But it's an energy field. And the more that we strengthen this energy field, this golden flower, this golden flowering of energy from our core, the more this energy field encompasses, expands out from us and encompasses in a series of growing concentric circles, the new aspects of destiny that haven't apparently manifested yet, which in today's instance would be wealth, financial wealth. Now, it's mysterious, as I say. I don't think, you can manipulate money. If you're a breadhead, you can sacrifice your whole life to moving money around. I've got friends who do it brilliantly, and you can, and you'll make millions or zillions or whatever it is quite likely, if that's your thing. But even those guys are using magic. I mean, I've watched it. It's not like they might not be aware of it as being magic, but they're using magic. It's not all just rational logic that motivates their choices. They're moving with flow. Same with currency traders, for example. I've watched that stuff. I've got a friend who does it. He showed me how to do it. I never really bothered doing it. It doesn't really interest me, but I could have made loads of money doing it because it's just about following a flow, if that's what you want to spend your time doing. And believe me, there are many moments where I thought, why didn't I just do that? Anyway, that's not really true. So it occurs to me that another thing is that with all this talk about manifesting and positive thinking, what is the other thing called, the law of attraction and everything, people have seemed to have developed a sort of superstition about pushing money away. So if I say to somebody, yeah, my cash flow is totally messed up at the moment, they say, well, what are you doing to push the money away? And in the old days, I'd have gone along with that bullshit, but now I think that is just nonsense and presumptuous. We're not doing anything to push it away. It's not about pushing it away or drawing it to you. It's in the destiny. And if it isn't in the destiny, it won't happen. That's just the way it is. And it's really simple. You'll always get what you need. You will always. Mick Jagger, you didn't lie. You will always get what you need. You will get what you need. The fairy tale will support you. It does. And it may not be on the grandiose, lavish scale that you think you should have, most of which you think you should have, really, if you analyze it, just so you can show off to people and say, see, look what a clever boy or girl I am. But what you actually need, you will have. And you might need loads to do whatever it is you have to do to make you feel right, to live how you want to live, with whom you want to live, where you want to live, and so on. So if you do, you will have that. And at different times, your needs are different. But I want to stare this superstition in the face and do right away with it in today's session. Let's get a little bit tough with this thing now. So I'm seeing that, you know, they reckon Credit Suisse calculated approximately, don't know how they do this, don't even know how they measure it, that all the money in the world, do you know how much all the money in the world is? All the money in the world is approximately $240 trillion. That's what all the money in the world amounts to right now, roughly. That in English pounds is 160 trillion pounds, roughly. In euros, it's about 180 trillion euros, whatever that means. That's the collective pool of money, which I guess is really mostly imaginary. It's just digits on screens. And do you know that according to the charities statistics, that's Oxfam and a few others, 90% of that $240 trillion is in the hands of only 66 people. That's right. Only 66 people, I was actually surprised it was that many, own 90% of the $240 trillion that exists at the moment in the world. And I find that very, very interesting. I don't begrudge anybody anything. I never would. I cannot bear this blame, hatred, jealousy thing that is growing and growing in our midst. I think it's a symptom of extreme neurosis and completely missing the point about the divine providence, or whatever you like to call it. I love the fact that these 66 people have got the sort of the Jedi tricks to such a fantastic high level that they know how to have that, whatever it is, of the 90%. Good on them. However, for their own sake, and I have discussed it with people in this 66, in fact, once or twice through my work, does lead me to meet all kinds of people, and I've suggested that there's no way that 66, so to speak, can exist in security and even in a financial flow in isolation. They need for the 10% of the money to be flowing freely around the world, and really, for their sake, I imagine 10% is probably not enough, and they don't probably need the 90%. They probably agree with you as well. It just happens to have gone that way. It's not even necessarily through their greed or manipulation. It's just the way the energy has moved in the last 10, 20 years or whatever, as the resources run out, weirdly, and with globalization, is that more and more of it gets channeled into fewer and fewer hands. However, it's not healthy, and this is not coming from take it away from the rich to give to the poor. It's not that at all. It's just that it doesn't balance quite right, and that's why everything's a little bit on the edge, one of the reasons anyway. So one of the things I'd like to do today, it might be cheeky, I don't know, but I'm being guided somehow from within, and I think it feels right, is to shine the light of the golden flower on the total amount of money in the world, that's $240 trillion, 90% of which is in the hands of just 66 people. And I imagine it's only small increments that, small changes that need to happen. Maybe it's another 5%, so it's 15% going around for everybody else, or 20%, 30%, and no one will do that. Of the 66, they wouldn't notice any difference at all. The golden flower somehow, if it's meant to be, I wouldn't want to force it, will somehow just get that money moving a bit, get it circulating a bit more around everybody else. Because a lot of the social unrest being blamed on various religious or racial prejudices at the moment, or being focused that way, is really not about that. It's just nonsense. What it's really about is there's not quite enough money circulating, and people they're a little bit pissed off about it. If we can get, to say the least, if we can kind of up the level a bit of what's in circulation so everybody's got more to play with, you will see a complete and absolute change in the way society's rolling within a very short space of time. Now, you may say this is ridiculously presumptuous, but I've got just to think that even with all this Taoist magic, that even with the help of all of apparently intractable as that 90% of the wealth of the planet, and make it all, whatever it needs to be, wish around more generously for everybody else. But I say that I have done this nonsense before. I say nonsense because it all is really, isn't it? I've done this stuff before enough times over the last 30, 40 years, and truly, with the right focus, it does work. I've seen it work again and again. And we do need it out on the planet right now. There needs to be more money circulating. And each of us needs more of it circulating our way, that's for sure. Not because we're greedy. I think if you were greedy, so-and-so, you probably wouldn't be on this satsang. Most of the people, if I do my kind of version of a profile, are people who are like me. You're driven by the desire to serve, to express yourself, to be real, to reach your potential, and to have the biggest adventure you possibly can. Not by how much money you can save up so that you're rich when you die, or even that you've got enough for when you're old. It's not that at all. I think most people who are drawn to this are drawn to the adventure of it all. And they're generous by nature. I suspect you will be a generous soul by nature. So it's not about being greedy for it. It's just that we all know that we can all do quite a lot more at this crucial time in human history if we've got a little bit more wherewithal. And so let's bring it on, I say, not for the sake of it, just because it will make life more lubricated. We'll be able to be more effective. We'll make more beautiful things happen for everybody. And that is the only antidote we have to the barbaric darkness and cruelty and madness that thankfully looks like it's starting to simmer down a little bit out there on the planet in at least 4 major flashpoints. This is also a call for the golden light to calm things for everyone too. I've been working on that myself quite a bit over the last 2-3 weeks, focusing. Scared sometimes that maybe it was going to spiral out of control. Right now I'm seeing it. I'm feeling the energy starting to settle again. And I do think it will settle again now. Oof, it's been horrible though, and I'm sure you'll all agree, to be living on the planet when, you know, various of our brothers and sisters are doing stuff and suffering as they have been, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, that's where it is. I don't know how that schema appeals to you. The other side of it is we need to ask our Tao, each of us, if there's any quality that any of us need to accentuate that was a little bit underplaying itself until now, that quality will come to the fore. It might even be that you need to be a little bit more objectivistic, not so surrendered, or it might be that you need to surrender more. It might be that you need to focus a little bit more on self-preservation, or it might be that you need to have more generosity. I don't know, you don't know, none of us know. So we will ask for this to come to the fore, whatever the quality is required, that will help us shepherd in this increased flow. And I think we need to look at the deal we're doing with the Tao. You know, what terms are we working on here? My one is amassing credit for as long as I can by being generous in my output. So if I help people because I want to help people, and I help them with a good heart without asking for anything back as a result, I know that the Tao will give it back to me when I need it. In other words, I'm amassing credit. That's one stratagem. It might not be yours, but that's my one generally. And then the key, though, is to remember that it's okay to call in the interest or whatever it is, or even some of the principle, anytime you need it. So you don't have to be kind of hoarding it in the heavenly realms. You just shout to the Tao and you go, hey, it's time to call in. I need whatever it is to get me through the next bit. And it's not that it doesn't owe you, it owes it you. It's your money. So it's like the universal bank called Tao. And you just say, okay, I'll come in to kind of get a bit of money out. And it goes, good on you. You know, good. It's bustling here for you, your money. It's bursting with new energy, just waiting for you to take some. And there'll always be more after if you need it. This is another thing, to look at that. And then also to look at how you might be in a self-deprivation mode. And maybe that's right. You know, maybe it's right for you to be in that. Who knows? It's been right for me to be in a self-deprivation mode at times. That's an angle in life I've needed to have. And to feel what it's like to be with the people who are deprived or feel deprived, so to get the empathy with that, and to know that true love, the love of inclusion in the human family, has got nothing to do with how much money you have at all. It's just to do with being included and including everyone else in your heart. But there is also something that does need to happen. A certain company, yeah, all right, I deserve now, I need now to kind of do this thing. I need to draw in some money for me. This needs to happen. And that's the spirit that you enter into the magic with. It's your birthright to do this. It's not like cheeky. It's not being greedy or grasping. It's not being a weird, manipulative magician type person or being creepy in any way at all. This is just your entitlement, and this is the ritual we're doing to draw it in. Interestingly, the I Ching for today randomly came up like this. This is the barefoot I Ching. Having had a hard time of late, watching your budget shrinking and doubting whether there's enough to go around, you'll be relieved to know that this coming week promises a reversal and return to abundance in great measure. That's the name of the hexagram, abundance in great measure, along with the supreme pleasure of feeling and being successful. The humility the recent hard times have served, the humility the recent hard times has produced have served you well. For now the way of the humble is on the ascendant, and you will shortly be finding yourself being in a position of honor and respect. People will now start to follow you and fall in with your vision. On your part, you must remain strong and centered, as there is much work to be done, and your gifts must be focused on achieving cultural greatness for the world, collective evolution in other words. Your power to succeed now derives from being in accord with the ineffable presence and will of the Tao. Remember this at all times, lest you fall prey to vanity. Remaining humble and centered, strong and focused, supreme success is swiftly yours. Indulge no destructive or negative thoughts now. Acknowledge them and override them firmly with positive, creative, life-affirming ones at every turn, and all will be well. All is well. Now, that's the I Ching. You get that on the site, barefootsatsang.com, if you want to read it again. Which is auspicious. It came up completely randomly today. So it bodes well for us. If you're ready then, this is the moment that we enter into the meditative mode, and you will hear my voice slow down and the timbre of my voice get more rounded and grounded, and that's as I'm rolling into the meditative mode. Use this as an opportunity to allow your body to relax, and this is something we don't do very much. By that I mean, become aware of your skeleton at the core of your body, become aware of your bone marrow at the core of every bone, and tell your bone marrow to relax. As daft as it may seem, just say bone marrow throughout my body, just relax. And then you tell all your bones, you say bones, relax. And then you become aware of all the joints between the bones, all the various joints in the body and the skull. And you say to all your joints, all my joints, relax. And it's subtle, but you can already feel the structure of your body starting to just feel a little bit looser. Then there's all the flesh that surrounds the bones. It's the stuff the organs are made out of, and the bowels are made out of, and the blood vessels, and all the bits and pieces in the body that aren't bones and that aren't fluid. There's connective tissue, the fascia, and the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments. All of the meat, in other words. And just say to all the meat in your body, meat, me, relax. And you just let all the muscles of your body soften. With every out-breath, you imagine that the muscles of the body are softening more Every in-breath, you feel that the muscles are being fed by some wonderful elixir, the chi. And while focusing at this level, imagine that somebody is pulling the crown of your head away from your hips, gently, benignly, raising the crown of your head away from the lower part of your body, which causes your spine to elongate. Drop your shoulders as if you had two large angel wings attached to each one, or rather one angel wing attached to each shoulder blade. Large, heavy angel wings that are pulling your shoulders down and causing them to broaden. And then imagine you've got a little hook at the very top of your breastbone where the thymus is, and that someone is pulling that hook diagonally upwards in front of you. It's pulling your breastbone upwards and forwards a little bit. And as the breastbone raises, get the sense of rising up to all that is beautiful. Then let the weight of head and the shoulder girdle, heavy, heavy stuff, sit down below the level of the navel and fill up in the lower part of the body. So the pelvic region and the legs are very heavy and full, connecting to the ground, while the upper part of you is light and free. Be aware that not 20 kilometers beneath your feet there is enough fire to match the temperature at the surface of the sun, and that this ball that we're on is really active and highly energized, and that by sinking your weight you're connecting with both that heat and also the kinetic power caused by spinning on the axis at 1,000 miles an hour while hurtling around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, while the solar system is doing likewise around the galaxy, and so on. Just get a sense of this incredible motion that you're availing yourself of, the power from which as you sink. While the upper part of you is very light and somehow merging with space. It's as if you don't really even exist. And the idea that you, as an individuated entity, are all important is obviously a relic of infantile arrested development. And, you know, each of us is no more or less than a beautiful, unique flower come into the great garden for a period of time to make it more beautiful, to give a bit of pollen to a few birds and bees so that they'll, in exchange, carry the seed from you to other places, and more like you will grow and contribute to this amazing experiment like that. So not taking yourself personally. The personal part of the self is the bit that sits in the front, in there with the emotional tension in the belly and the noise in the forebrain about what's going on around you and how well you're doing in relation to it. And that part of you is fictional. It's really just a fictitious character that you've developed since you were born, using cues and stimuli from the world around you. Most of the fictitious character that you created was the template for it was based on when you were 3 years old, maybe 2 years old, 3 years old, when as imaginative, magnificent, wonderful and beautiful as you were in terms of how the world works, you didn't know very much at all. And so you're walking around with a description of reality and this fictitious self based on sort of 3-year-old's knowledge. It's not really, I've just been hanging out with a beautiful, amazing 3-year-old, but even so I can tell you, it's not the best basis to kind of form your whole experience of reality on, because we don't really know much until we're quite a bit older than that. And even then, you know, and this fictitious self and this complex of descriptions that sits in the front of the body, in front of the brain, is what we normally mistake for reality. And it isn't, it's just fictitious, all of it. I don't ask you to believe me, I'm just asking you to take the option of instead sitting in your back, the still, strong, silent aspect of you, where there is no noise, there is no conflict, everything is still, everything is strong, relatively invulnerable, powerful, steady, sturdy. And here you sit in the back of you. This is the backward flowing motion I was talking about, where instead of flowing forwards, you're now flowing backwards into your back. And if you just keep flowing backwards inside, you start to get the sense that you're much bigger than what fits in the physical back. The you that you really are is pretty much infinite in size and expands backwards out from you, like your physical form is the tip of the iceberg. This invisible aspect of you is the rest of the iceberg, but it's a lovely, warm, beautiful iceberg. And it's the background presence that is watching life unfold through your eyes, through your senses, through your brain power and ability to compute what's occurring and evaluate and so on. It is enjoying itself through you. That's why it's done it. That's why it's made you, if you like, why it makes itself into you. And it's the same background presence informing all of us. It's no different. It's just that you're the one that's experiencing it, so it has that particular flavour of you and all the rest of it. That you get what I'm saying. And we share this. This is where we share in common. We have the same background presence informing us. Just our interpretation of it is different because we each have a different camera angle and lighting on the movie set. So just allow yourself to lean into your shoulder blades, the front of your spine, the rear pelvic bones, and sit right back like you're sitting back in a throne. Imagine that your skull is a cave and the floor of the cave is quite smooth. Tilt your head back a bit and let that frenetic energy in the front of you slide backwards like a little Buddha, required to slide back along the floor of the skull of the cave until it's sitting up against the rear wall of the skull instead, leaning up against the rear wall, sitting on a beautiful pile of cushions, so very comfortable, serenely bearing witness to infinity, which is visible through the mouth of the cave where the bridge of the Nile is traveling. There will be occasionally clouds passing by from right to left. These represent the thoughts that come and go. And there's as little need to jump on a cloud and analyze it and see where it's going as there is to do the same with the thought. It's pointless. It's like a dog barking at a pigeon. Just let the thoughts come, let the thoughts go, let the clouds come, let the clouds go. Meanwhile, you sit in the back and you're supported by this infinite presence beneath that, filling your own back. It's pretty solid. And you're breathing slowly. You visualize the two halves of your breastplate opening sideways like a pair of sliding doors to reveal in the core of your chest the gorgeous, beautiful essence that is you. That gorgeous, beautiful essence that informed you when your mum, or whoever it was, first picked you up as soon as you were born and went, "Oh God, you're so beautiful. I love you. I love you." And the love that you were able to inspire is still who you are. It's there in the core of your chest, in the heart center, the Crimson Palace. You can visualize it as a cluster of jewels emitting a beautiful rose gold light, if you like. You can visualize it as some gorgeous mythical flower radiating a beautiful, divine, otherworldly fragrance. These are just symbolic, just to get the mind into the idea of radiating the essence of who you are, your beautiful, unique gift to the world, freely, generously, ubiquitously around you from the core of your chest, as well as allowing yourself to receive the same that's being sent, firstly from everyone in the circle here, all the way around the world, in every time zone short of the Arctic and the Antarctic. And any entity, including all the beautiful animals on this planet, and any sentient being, every sentient being throughout time and space, whether they know they're transmitting the love or not, you are receiving likewise. So here we are now, all connected and connected individually at the soul level to the continuum of all life. And see us, if you like, as a committee or a council, as a good friend of mine used the word recently, of angels, archangels even, if you like, around the planet. So we're in another dimension, we're in the ether, and we're surrounding the planet. Just get that vision. I had to have a gulp of tea, and pardon me, and see the planet blue, green, white, beige, swirling, glorious, majestic, amazing in our midst. And firstly, let's shine the rose gold light onto it, the love light from the heart. And let's just let that be the setup. Let that be the basis, the template from which we work now. So we're sitting, all of us, in a massive circle all the way around the planet, and the first thing we're doing is a gift to the planet. We're stabilizing the energy field with love and causing it to calm down, and everyone on the planet to whether they know why they're feeling it or not. They probably won't. Just suddenly feel, and with that, a sense of open-heartedness and awareness that no one can do this independently. We're all interdependent, and we need each other, all of it, all of ourselves. It's not that we need to wish for vast chunks of populations to be wiped out. To the contrary, we want to love and take care of all the family, even if their views are totally different to ours. The sense that we are together, and just get the sense that this energy we're sending is somehow inspiring that spirit in everybody. This is just to loosen it all up out there for the next bit. Okay, now I would like you, this is shortcutting it, many years of training, but go with it, go with it. I'd like you to visualize growing out of your pelvic floor, growing out of the rich, fertile soil of your pelvic floor, a Jack in the Beanstalk looking flower thing. It's very powerful, very sturdy, like a massive sunflower. And it's growing up through you, pushing up through the core of you, along the core of your spine, but in another dimension, pushing through you until your heart is filled with this golden light from the flower. And you can feel the inside of your chest and down in your belly and the inside of your skull lit up by this otherworldly golden light emitting from the pelvic floor. And the flower is growing taller and taller until the golden flower, the head of the flower, is now filling the inside of the skull. So you're sitting in the back of the cave of the skull, the original spirit cave, gazing out into infinity, but somewhere along that view, quite close up, you're aware that there's a whole committee of these angelic beings, of which you're one, beaming this rose gold light from the heart, all of us collectively, and splashing it onto the surface of the planet Earth, with the nearly 10 billion people doing whatever people are doing right now on the surface, all being healed by that, all being kind of encouraged to let go a little bit of the fear that inspires the greed and the hoarding and so on, that inspires, the light that inspires generosity of spirit. And inside of your skull cave, there is this incredible golden light, beautiful, soothing golden light. And it's transmitting out through the mouth of the cave in a very, very fine laser-like stream. This is as well as the rose gold light coming from the heart. And a very powerful laser-like beam onto what you can see as a vast pool of digits, or you might see them as coins, or you might see them as banknotes, or you might see them as bank balances on a screen. I don't know how you visualize wealth. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You can see it as a vast pool of energy spread out over the surface of the planet, collected in quite tight, small areas in vast concentrations, as if everybody had to live in the same city, sort of thing, but also flowing around. And as this golden light that's starting in your pelvic floor, but now coming out through the center of your forehead in a very powerful focused stream, hits that pool of money, which, bear in mind, is bathed in that rose gold light of healing love in the first place, so it's in a nice envelope, nice milieu. As your golden light focus hits on that pool of $240 trillion, it has an amazing alchemical effect on it. It's not causing it by brute force. To the contrary, it's like this light is tickling it. It's like the alchemical agent that was required to set free what currency needs to be set free. And there are vast swathes of massive amount of trillions of money now suddenly liberated and breathing a massive sigh of relief. You can almost hear the units of this wealth going whee as it gets set free into the collective pool. There's more of a swoosh around it. It's like it's somehow a lot more active everywhere. You can see this golden energy flowing a little bit more evenly now, not quite so coagulated in various spots. And there's a sense of it smiling at you There's a sense of it being really, really joyful. And there's a sense that because you're one of the angels that have triggered this off, it's coming at you to say thank you. It's as if it's coming at you to embrace it. Hey, now let's do something really bold. Just say no, money. Just wait there. Just wait there a minute. I'm going to hold you off. I'm going to push you away. So let's do this. Let's face that fear of I'll be pushing money away. Push it away and see it. Say, yeah, okay, okay. See it out there, held at a respectful distance. It's not crowding you. Now, because you have the power to push it away, you also have the power to draw it to you. So now you say to money, thank you. Thank you for playing along with me. I needed to know that we had communication here. Okay, money, come, come, come. And then you feel it just like rushing up to you, like a dog that has been in the house all day when you come home from work, a kind of absolute, unbridled, innocent love. And it's that wealth, it's that energy, that is the golden energy of money coming at you to say thank you, and it's enveloping you, it's surrounding you, it's going all the way around your body like a beautiful warm balm, it's going inside your body into every single cell, and it's making you golden. It's like the golden light you emitted has come back to you multiplied, and it has a fluid feeling to it, something kind of almost liquid. So it's a substance, it's not just something etheric, it actually feels like something moving through you, and it's causing every cell in your body all the way down to the bone marrow where we started to be filled with the spirit of wealth. So you are now an angelic magnet for wealth, and you know that you have various upcoming moves in the adventure destiny has in store for you, and you know that you need resources to support you through that. You might have people depending on you. You might have all sorts of outgoings. You might have reasons, the things you want to do to help the world, to help those around you, or just to help yourself. And this is the time to say, okay, I need this now. Bring it in. This is me drawing in the money that I need from the universal bank account. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And just feel it coming in. Feel it coming in, collecting. You know, we're in the midst of this magnetic sphere of wealth, collecting in the lower abdominal area as like a pool that represents, it's like a microcosmic version of the global pool. So it's the same shape, whatever that looks like to you, same substance, it's your internal one. And this can't fail. It cannot fail to draw to you an influx of money in the coming days. I think we will all be rather surprised as to what happens. We might even start seeing a little bit more friendliness returning to the global story, a little bit more tolerance, and a little bit more flexibility in negotiation. It might take a little bit longer than a week, but we will start to see big changes from all these satsangs throughout this series occurring in the world around us, because they're going to be quite focused that way. But the reward to each of us will be significant and noticeable. So get the sense of trusting that. Don't get raspy about it. Don't get nervous about it. Don't get anxious about whether it's going to work or not. That's just silly. There's no point. That's not a warrior. That's a warrior. So be the warrior now. And it doesn't matter when you're the warrior, whether you have the money or you don't have the money. It really doesn't matter, because you're already totally rich, because you are the universe itself. You own the universe. This is your universe. This is your reality, your existence. That is worth more than all the money ever. You know, existence itself. That's how rich you are. So you know that. You know that you'll always be supported. It doesn't matter whether this works or not. Because it doesn't matter, it will work. That seems to be how it goes in this perverse reality we've generated for ourselves. And I love it. I don't know about you. To partake in a little bit more externally now, start to wriggle your toes and wriggle your nose, wriggle your fingers, maybe wriggle your ears if you can. Open your eyes if you want to. And let's have a question and answer game where you ask the questions and I give the answers. We can pass comments if you want to. And I really want to hear like what questions you've got about money, if you've got any, or about the session, or anything you didn't understand, anything you'd like to take issue with even. And Sue will explain, our esteemed producer, how you do this exactly.
Hello.
I realised I kind of went on a bit there because I had my eyes closed. I wasn't looking at the time. So maybe not too many questions, but let's go for it anyway.
Okay, firstly, a very, very warm welcome to the people who are here today who are new to satsang. I see a few names I haven't seen before, so an extra special welcome to you, and a very big welcome to everybody who is here on a regular basis. It's wonderful to have you here too.
So at least you got some manners. I totally forgot to say that. Thank you.
Okay. We've got a couple of questions in, which I'll start with. Well, before the first question, actually, we've got a comment here from Sarah, who said she much needed this session as she's working 3 jobs and still having a hard time. To you,
wow.
Thank you, Barefoot Doctor and staff, from Sarah, Houston, Texas.
Yeah, man, give my love to Houston, Texas, and I'm telling you that the Good Spirit will provide all your needs, and I can feel it for you, Sarah, in Houston, Texas. I can actually see that golden energy coming your way right now. I can actually visualize it coming at you. I can see it coming from the north, actually, for some reason.
And this is from Stephanie, who's also in the US. She says, I'm naturally accepting of things as they are. I was trained to expect and accept very little materially. It's not so productive.
I think it might be. I'm similar to the time, but every now and again I need to focus on it like we just did now and find that it has a very good effect. So I wouldn't worry about it. I think if you just acknowledge that you need it at a certain point and you focus on it with as little effort as possible, it will come your way. But it would have done anyway, I'm sure. It's just that's destiny, isn't it? And I wouldn't suggest that it's not productive. I've had a couple of emails from you I've found very stimulating. Those in themselves were productive, I'd say, because they got my mind going and helped inform my pattern. I was doing this today, for example. So I wouldn't judge yourself as not productive. You do Qigong, don't you, in California, and Tai Chi, I think? I mean, that's productive. Every time you move your arms like that, or your body, you're moving the ocean of Qi in a positive way for everybody.
Jen just wanted to say, this is so cool. I feel joyful, like running free with my money dog and going out to play. Thanks. I feel maybe I've been too serious when it comes to wealth accumulation. Really helpful.
Nice one, Jen. Yeah, I'm glad you picked that, because for me, that's the vibe I'm trying to put out. But we need to loosen up and have fun with it. It's going to work much better when we do.
Okay, Lucy in the UK asks, how do you heal your money situation if you have joint finances?
I don't know, really. Lucy, hi, Lucy. I don't really know. Let me think about that for a moment. I think it's still the same. I think that if you're, like happy having joint finances with whoever that person is, and you do the magic, it will draw it in for both of you, for sure. But you can delineate. You can do like with a computer where you can have both Apple and Windows operating systems running you divide the disk up that way. You could do the same with the money flow if you felt that it was more prudent to have it come into just your part, and so you could figure what to do with it from there. There's no rules. You could just make them up as you go along. But if you've just done what we just did, you will be magnetizing money in the direction of you and whoever sells in you. So I think that's the answer, isn't it?
Wendy is asking, is there a technique we could use when out and about and dealing with cash? Really great to hear you today, Barefoot. I feel great. The energy in here is amazing.
It is, isn't it, Wendy? Bless you for saying thank you. I feel it too. Yes, I mean, this out and about stuff is great. This is where a lot of my practice takes place. So, what we just did, I don't know how you saw it. It would be impossible to describe anyway, wouldn't it? But I saw like a massive kind of sea of golden energy moving around between everybody on the planet, this sort of mythical 240 trillion. And while I'm walking around outside tomorrow, now you've mentioned that I'm going to do this, or driving around doing whatever I'm doing, really visualizing that flow between everybody as a sort of benign force, like the Tao's kind of one symbol of the Tao's love for everybody, and I'm going to visualize it push it away. I'm going to hold it at a distance from me and then go, come on, you can come now. I think that's important, actually, to feel that push away and then the pull. It makes it easier. And to do it, just visualize it as you're going around. Why not? Superimpose that vision onto whatever you're looking at. I do that often with love anyway. Like if I'm going through airport security, rather than getting into the drama of that, I visualize like a love energy coming from my heart and just sweeping the whole room with it. I see the Tao in everybody, and then the energy changes. It really does. Within moments, people start laughing and smiling and loosening up and getting a bit more human. It goes through quicker. Everything works better. So definitely do it on the run. Yeah.
Windsor says, "Hi dear Steph, thank you for a beautiful experience this satsang. With magic."
Hey Windsor, lovely to have you back here, man. Lovely.
With magic and manifesting, have you found daily focus using the same affirmation, intention, routine every day to be effective in creating? Or do you think it's more effective to change the daily practice, affirmations, etc.? Thanks again and lots of love to you, Windsor.
Well, my dear Windsor, I know that you're a lot younger than me, and I remember at the same age as you, I tended to be a bit more disciplined about things like this because I think that goes with the age somehow. And that doesn't mean to be patronising, to the contrary, but I've noticed that as I've clocked up more and more orbits around the sun, I tend to want to vary. As long as I got my basic template of training sorted out, which I have in the Qigong and the martial arts and the meditation, the visualization aspect, or the intentionality, setting my intention, I want to be more and more random and playful personally. So I eschew rigid daily practice of any kind of visualization other than the big ones of like, here I am in the plane of reality with, the big fundamental metaphysical ones. But when it comes to various aspects of the world, such as money and so on, no, I kind of really quite laughed about it all. I just kind of roll with it, and my intention is just for everything to be beautiful. So when I talk to the angel of destiny inside of me, which is something we'll get into in the course of the sequence, and I direct it as it requires to whatever it needs to be directed to, I always just let it be direct, just make it beautiful, angel of destiny. Just make it the most beautiful it can possibly be for me and for everybody. And that obviously is going to include having the money and stuff that is required to support that. But I can't tell you what to do. You'll know. Sometimes you go through a rigid phase, sometimes a loose phase. It's all experimental, isn't it? I think as long as we don't get sloppy in terms of losing the discipline altogether, there has to be constant awareness and application of focus on the bigger scene. Whereas, like for certain things like money, there are ones I do every day. Like I have the vision, I have the will, I have the power, I have the skill. I know what I want. I do this stunt, and everyone and everything helps me. I always do that, and I always do. I'm always in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing in the right way with the right people and the right result. The reason I always do them because they fit certain Qigong moves and make me stay in them for the right amount of time before I change sides. But that's just me kind of multitasking. But there's no rules with all these things. No rules.
Okay, we've got a comment and a final question. And
okay.
The comment is from Lisa in Plymouth, UK. I'm assuming it's Plymouth, UK. Being a light worker, I love to serve people and help in any way I can, as long as their free will lets me. I find giving and receiving energy an easier exchange than money. Your meditation has given me a visual on the Earth grid and how that could be changed from energy into money. Thank you, BD. As always, you cut through all the human sludge to make the sun shine through. Hugs and love from Lisa.
Oh, Lisa, that's really, really lovely. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've noticed that when the intention is set, it doesn't even have to be stated. As long as it's set internally, people start responding differently. And if you just do give it energetically and receive it energetically, that's just a matter of converting the incoming energy into cash, really. That's kind of what it is in your mind. And it will just do that for you. It will do that. It wants to do that anyway. Yes.
So this last one is from Geraldine, who says, hello Doc, Sue and fellow satsangonistas. Do you think being secretive or canny about a business idea is fearful and therefore blocking the universal flow if the future vision is open-hearted and sharing? And that's from from Geraldine, who sends love from her little island.
Dear Geraldine on your wee isle, we don't know. It's a difficult, tricky one. This I have had so many ideas ripped off, quite obviously so. After say kind of submitting book proposals, I'd see somebody else would write the book with the same title a few months later, and that sort of thing, again and again and again. That now when I'm about to divulge a new idea to anybody, I get them to agree to a non-disclosure, and it's not because they probably, I'm going to sue them if they don't, because it's just a pain in the arse. But it just shows that I'm serious about the fact I'm respecting this thing that I'm sharing out. There are certain people I won't want to share my idea with, and I can feel it in my belly, because there'll be jealous people who will be competitive, will steal the idea and run with it, and so on. There are other people I feel right about sharing it with, because I know that they're on my side and will help it grow. At the same time, I temper all this with the knowledge that if it does get taken from me, as did all the ones that did, it's because that's what was meant to happen as well. It went out there. It's quite hard to do that, just to go, look, I've given my thing. Maybe it wasn't me who was rewarded for it, wasn't me who was credited for it, but that was my contribution. It will make the world beautiful. I say to the DAO, hey, mark that one because you owe me for that, and then it will bring in what I'm owed later. That's what I meant by what deal are you doing with the DAO. So I do really always err on the generous side, but lately I've just been a little bit more pedantic maybe about saying, look, this is important to me. I'm respecting this one. I'm not just chucking it out because there's another 8 million great ideas after it, which there might well be. But I value it, and therefore the other person remembers to value it too. That it might be something to do with that. Yes, I wouldn't want to give anyone the impression that I'm really clever when it comes to business and stuff, because I'm not. I'm like just a fool, but I like to be this way. It's fun. I can just about make it work, and it goes in phases anyway. So it's not really the kind of how to proceed stuff that I would ever presume to advise you on, but the basic template of this kind of idea of the flower growing up from the root of you and illuminating everything within and all around you, and that giving you the magnetic power to focus in on something and draw it to you. I'd say that is the sort of stuff that I can offer help with, and to remind you that no matter what state you think you're in, or how negatively you may judge yourself at times, you are a divine being. What you are is Tao. I don't mean just Geraldine, I mean everybody. You are the mystery itself, the ineffable presence made itself into human form. And you should give yourself a bit of an applause for that, because it's a really amazing thing to have managed, actually, to have been chosen to be this. So good for us, and thanks for being here. And let the magic happen in an unprecedented way. I believe it will do so. I see it will do so. Thank you for coming. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you next week as the plot goes deeper. Bless your heart, and bye.
Let all pain and suffering be dispelled. Let all pain and suffering be dispelled.